This is the Footbrawl Podcast with your hosts, Tyler, Andy, and Boyer.
Welcome back to Mantasy Footbrawl Podcast, presented by two of your performance enhancing dads. Dang it. I messed that
So
one
close.
up tonight. So close. Well, we got Andy, we got me. Boyer was busy this week with, being a dad or a husband or something. I don't know.
Yeah. Yuck.
Yeah, right. We podcast at like 9:30 at night. Tell these people to go to bed and come hang out with us. I don't know. We'll see if you even listen to this. If not, 100 other people are. So get it together, Boyer. Welcome to anybody new that decides they want to listen.
Yeah, drop a comment, a like, a subscribe, one of those things down there. But mostly just let us know how you found us, because I don't know how you found us, and it's weird.
We're here for it though. So
Yep. Welcome.
All right, well, back to Mantasy. How did we do on predictions last week?
I don't know what this Wii stuff is. So if you remember at the end of last week's episode, I talked about our power, our ability that we have had one time to pick down the line and make it all come true. Well, we almost did that last week, and it almost all came true. The 5 that we all agreed on all won: Boyer, Fryer, Walker, Charlie, Ty. But I picked me to beat the duo, and Ty and Boyer did not agree, and I pulled it out. Mostly duo shot the bed. So I'll take a 6 spot this week, and Ty and Boyer will only get 5, which brings me a little closer to Boyer. Boyer's still in the lead with 39 wins. I got 37. Ty's down at 33.
You pulled it out this week. Strategy we all should have learned earlier in life.
Yep, I whipped it out and it worked.
Whipping out and pulling out, I think, are all right. Either way.
Same ideas. Both PP puns.
All right. On that, real quick, I know we aren't going to hit playoff scenarios, but that top division, 7-3 to 5-5. All 4 of you are real close.
Yep.
And in the next division, myself at 6-4, Chris at 5-5, and then we drop off hard with Paul and Colin. So I'm going to be happy with that later in the season. And then you've got Walker at 8-2, Duo at 6-4, Charlie at shocking 5-5, and then they drop off to Jeremy at 2-8. So, surprise, Charlie's still semi in it, minus his points 4.
Right. I mean, Charlie's points 4 is less than 50 behind the duo, which, I mean, duo's sitting at 6-4, which isn't ideal, but that's tied for wild card right now. Charlie's 1 game out of wild card. It's a weird year. Justin Fields helping him a lot.
I guess so. We'll see what happens, but really there are only 3 people out of it at this point. So I'm shocked. Trade deadline this weekend. See if anybody makes a move, see what happens. So
yeah, we'll probably have a few, but I feel like a lot of the selling has already happened. So we'll see.
How do you think Boyer feels about Cooper Kupp buying him and then now he's out?
Yeah, he got a whole negative 0.1 points out of him before he got his leg ripped off and hit IR after he shelled out like $31 worth of stuff.
14-7 in a keeper.
Yeah, so that sucks, bud. Better you than me.
Same.
3 of us were in on him, and you drew the short straw, so that's a bummer.
Paul, I appreciate you not taking my draft cash. Way to take that keeper spot. So, all right. Well, with that, Andy, you got a couple true false you want to hit me with? I guess all of our viewers, because they should all play along nicely.
Yeah, everybody plays true false. All right. True or false? Josh Allen leads the league in interceptions.
False.
Who do you think has it?
Not Josh Allen.
All right. Well, you're wrong. It is Josh Allen. He has 10 interceptions this year.
Okay.
I will say that there's a couple other people that I think have him on a per game. Matt Ryan has 9, but he didn't start a week or two. And then Kenny Pickett has only played 6 games, and he's got 8. Davis Mills has 9 picks as well. Cousins and Stafford both have 8. So there's other guys that are up there. Mahomes actually has 7, which he's been a pretty low interceptions guy in his career. I mean, he's got 25 passing touchdowns, so nobody's really bitching about it. But
I'm definitely not.
Yeah. Josh Allen also has 3 lost fumbles, which that shit adds up. So knock it off.
And
But
he's
he's
still
always
tied.
been.
He is still tied with Patrick Mahomes for ranked number 1.
Is he?
I believe they are tied dead even pretty much for ranked number 1 for quarterbacks.
All right. Well, let's move on to running back.
Ooh, hold on. Patrick Mahomes 234.94. Josh Allen 234.92. So Patrick Mahomes in our league ranked number 1 by 0.02. There you go.
There you go. All right, true or false? Austin Eckler is top 5 in the league in targets. Not among running backs, the whole league.
Probably true, just based on there's Allen has been out all year, and Michael Thomas is, I mean, he hasn't been getting huge target volume, but Justin Herbert hasn't been, I mean, great. So I'm going to say true. He's probably right on the border there.
So Eckler is 5th in the league in receptions with 67, but he's done that on 81 targets, which puts him at 10th. Running backs
For
tend to catch a
targets.
higher percentage of what looks they're getting.
Sure.
If he wanted to be top 5, Cooper Kupp has 98 at number 5, and then there's a 10 target drop to CD at number 6 with 88, and Eckler's only got 81. So he's a ways off in terms of the target volume, but he is 5th in the league in receptions. So technically false to the question that I asked, but he is way up there.
Yeah, well, and for him being being at 81 to what CeeDee Lamb's 89 or whatever, being 8 back from what should be the number 1 clear target getter in Dallas it's not a bad thing.
Right. All right, true or false? Terry McLaurin is top 10 in receiving yards this year.
Oh, good. Terry McLaurin stats, huh? That's what I want to hear. Top 10?
Top 10 in yards. He's only got 2 touchdowns, so he, like, points wise, he's down a ways.
Yeah. He's probably, I would say he's probably even top 7 because CeeDee Lamb's probably in there. Christian Kirk has had some big games. I'm trying to think of guys that like explode for a handful of games. Who else is in there? AJ Brown has had a couple bad games. He's probably in there. Mike Evans has been bad. Comparatively, I don't know. I'm trying to top 10. I don't know. Terry McLaurin's just not. You good?
Just listening to you think it out. It's kind of fun.
Terry McLaurin, I mean, he didn't have a good start to the year, but since Heineke's been in, he's been good, but he's been getting yards, just no touchdowns. Yeah, sure. He's top 10. Go for it.
Well, I'm impressed. You named the 4 guys that come right after him. So Tyreek leads the league, obviously.
Sure.
Justin Jefferson, Stephon Diggs, Jalen Waddle, Cooper Kupp are top 5. Devontae Adams at 6, Travis Kelce at 7. And then 3 yards behind Travis Kelce is Terry McLaurin at number 8. Then you've got AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Christian Kirk, Mike Evans, who you rattled off.
I'm surprised Devontae Adams is up that high.
I kind of am too. He's had a bunch of duds.
Because like that's a name I guess I had him just further down because he's not been great and the Raiders have just been mediocre.
Yeah, so Adams has a game with 3 yards, a game with 12 yards, and a game with 36 yards. But all of the rest of his games, which is 6, were 95 plus. So he got it. I mean, he's sitting at 784, and 730 of that came in those 6 games. So
Yeah. And
yeah,
I think McLaurin's gonna keep getting hyper targeted with Heineke. I mean, Heineke even said it on that sack at the end of the game. It's like, if McLaurin wasn't open, I was going down, I was taking a sack. Like,
right.
if my one guy isn't open right away, wide open, I'm not throwing this ball. Which, I mean, I get it's to get a win, so like I get it, but that's the game plan. Get McLaurin the ball and see what happens.
Yep.
Although now that Jahan Dotson's coming back, maybe it'll spread out a little bit. I mean, Curtis Samuel gets some targets and stuff, but he's not a big yards type guy. So
Yeah, true.
we'll see. Anything else, or is that it for us for true false?
We can do one more if you want.
Sure.
All right. Okay. In the last 4 weeks, Cole Kmet is the top scoring tight end. True or false?
In the last how many weeks? 4?
4 weeks.
He's had 5 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks, so I'm gonna say yes.
Yeah. Kelsey's only got 1 touchdown in 3 games played in that time. If you grab his 4th game, if you take both players' last 4 games, then Kmet is still ahead of Kelsey.
I drafted that guy early in the season and dropped him.
You did, and then you traded for Kelsey, and you were fine anyways. So,
yeah.
Fun fact: he's done all of that with only 13 catches in those 4 games. So that's a touch over 3 per game. Not high volume, but what are you gonna do? 5 touchdowns is 5 touchdowns, and that's hard to keep up with for anybody.
Right. I've been looking at the Kmet stats because I drafted him early, and I'm like, well, I dropped this dude in week 3 and 4 in most leagues because they couldn't figure shit out in Chicago.
Right.
So, oh well, it is what it is. I dropped him in multiple leagues. It wasn't just this one.
Yep, that's fair.
So, oh well. All right. With that, Andy,
What's up?
how's your water? Is it nice?
It's cold.
Oh, it's good. It's in an ugly glass, but you got it.
Hey,
Oh,
these
my
are
bad.
good 32-ounce cups I got for free after I got an $8 soda at the Sox game.
That's fair. I got it for free after the $8 soda. I am drinking chili water pale ale from Tight Head Brewing Company out of Mundelein. So
Oh.
out of the north suburbs.
How is it?
It's not bad. It's 5% alcohol, pretty easy drink. Could be a little bit more flavor to it, but for the most part, it's a pretty solid beer.
Well, they
So,
named it water, so
yeah, chili water, you know. And it's been sitting outside and it's been snowing, so it's cold for sure. Definitely chilly.
that helps.
So I'm just trying to hold true to the name. So with that, we are going to jump into this week's matchups, start sit decisions. And since we always start with my team, because I'm on the top of the list always, I'm gonna let you kick us off. Me versus the duo.
You versus the duo. All right. Well, I will say I'm going to be cheering for you, Ty, because duo is hot in the wild card contention, and that's my fallback plan right now. So do what you can for me. But yeah, this should be a good little matchup here. Duo's looking at Waddle and Lockett on a bye.
Definitely helps.
Yeah, that helps. I mean, they're probably not playing. I guess Lockett is an option, but like Lockett being on a bye is not a huge deal. Waddle hurts a bit, but yeah. Are you putting in Thielen against Dallas or Garrett Wilson against the Patriots? I don't feel like either of those are good matchups over Sutton or Pittman.
If I was gonna put one of them in, it'd be Wilson. Just I feel like he probably has the higher upside. Thielen is not been good. So I would not be playing him. He's been consistent at 7 or 8 targets.
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're getting 60, 70 yards at most, and that's about it. And I Thielen has the touchdown upside, but like Does he really? He hasn't gotten it this year. Everything's
He's
going
only
to
got
Jefferson.
2. Yeah.
And you got
I
Hawkinson there now. You got so much happening there that he's just not getting the ball. So I would go
Right.
Wilson if you're going for that huge boom upside. But I think with Matt Ryan back, I'm going to leave Pittman in with Jerry Jeudy out against the Vegas Raiders. I'm going to keep Sutton in as well. So
no change.
I think he's got the right lineup going. But Wilson, I think, is probably his biggest upside play this week if he wants to take a swing at it.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I'm leaving it how it is, but if you want to get somebody in, I'm putting in Wilson over Thielen as well. But if it's my team, I'm leaving it. All right, Ty, you've got Donovan Peoples-Jones has been having a nice little run. He still didn't have any touchdowns ever, but 70 plus yards in 4 straight's pretty sweet. Keenan Allen, who knows if he's playing. You playing Foreman against Baltimore? Any consideration for getting Singletary in? You playing your newly added Christian Watson?
There's always a consideration for getting Singletary in, but with the volume Foreman's getting, I just don't know that I can sit him even against Baltimore. Like, Baltimore's got a good run defense, a good defense as a whole.
Yeah.
But even if they're behind, they still run the ball.
Right. Well, I keep hearing there's going to be 3 feet of snow in the Buffalo Cleveland game, and you don't want any part of that. So I think you're probably going to leave Foreman in on weather alone, and the fact that he's been getting 25 touches a week, that helps.
Yeah, against Cincy, that whole game blew up. So I'm not even worried about that. But before that, he was 15, 26, and 31.
Yeah.
If they can even give him 20, let's just cut it down to the low end and give him 20 carries. I'm fine with that.
Yep. Singletary might get touchdowns, but that's no guarantee. He had his first 2 rushing touchdowns last week and still only had 47 yards. So,
right.
I'm not worried about trying to squeeze him in here. Foreman's fine. I agree with you.
Now, if Josh Allen ever actually goes out and is out for a week or 2, I will probably pivot to Singletary at some point because I think they're going to have to lean on the run a little bit. But right now, that's not the case. So we're going to ride with what I got.
Yep, I feel you. Well, I'm going to go ahead and pick you because your team is stacked as fuck. Sorry, YouTube. Had to say it.
And even, Ayuk has been solid. Higgins, even if he can just put up a decent week, I'll be all right. I'm going to take me as well.
Yeah, Green Bay being bad against the run could be bad if Henry goes for 35 points, but they haven't been that bad against the run.
Well, in Patterson, they ran 4 running backs out of Atlanta last week. So I think Patterson gets a higher workload at some point, but we shit on Patterson all the time. So
yeah,
I don't know.
I was texting with one of my buddies last weekend who's not in our league, and we were talking about how Patterson wasn't getting the ball and wasn't doing what he's been doing for the last year and a half, and I was like, well, he is a 32-year-old kick returner. So finally it makes sense. I don't know. He'll probably bounce back, but I never understood it in the first place. So the fact that they're actually using real running backs now, that makes more sense to me.
Yep. All right. So let's jump to did we get Boyer's picks? I'm assuming he's picking me.
I just sent him a message to see if he's got them, and I don't have them yet, but I will let you know.
Fair enough. All right. Well, we're going to jump to Jeremy versus Colin. This is I'd say for naked, but both of them have already been. So
for a new punishment to be trialed. I don't remember what we decided on, if it's the Waffle House thing or if it's a grab bag or hot wings. There was a lot of talking about it, but I don't remember what we landed on.
I think a lot of people were in for the grab bag where we all throw something in there and they just pull one, and that's what they can opt out of that. But then the next one they pull has to be it no matter what. Yeah. I don't know. There was a lot of talk of grab bag, something or other. They'll be grabbing each other's bags this week. We'll see what happens. So we'll start with Jeremy. Jeremy really doesn't have shit on his bench. Amon-Ra, Allen Robinson, and Wandale are his two wide receiver slash flex situation. The question is, I guess, DeAndre Carter over one of those. He had a touchdown, decent yardage, but it was four targets, 4 receptions.
Yeah, Mostert and Kirk being on a bye really sucks for Jeremy. I mean, I don't want to play Wandale because he's had 2 catches the last 2 weeks, and that's not good. I don't know if you know football, but that's bad.
The only benefit though is they get Detroit, but
Yeah,
DeAndre Carter has had 6 targets, 5 catches for 53 yards, and then 4 catches on 4 targets for 64 yards and a touchdown. So at least when he gets the ball thrown at him, he catches it.
yeah,
So
true.
that's,
Yeah,
that's what you want out of a receiver.
I think I'm down for putting Carter in. Obviously, the questionable tag. He's got a rib injury. But I mean, if Keenan Allen's not playing, if Mike Williams isn't playing, because I think technically Mike Williams is eligible to come back this week. And I think they both practiced this week. So I guess that's a real thing to watch, is whether or not those guys are still out this week. But against Kansas City, if the top 2 weapons are sitting, DeAndre Carter's a fine play. You got to think that they're going to have to sling it. You got to think that the way that the Chargers have played this year, that they're going to be losing. So, like,
And Saquon can just take that game over in Detroit and just say, "Hey, this is mine. Don't worry about it."
Yeah, I was kind of thinking that too. So
here's my other question though: is Stafford back? Because if Stafford's back, I will keep Allen Robinson in. If he's not, I don't know if I'm keeping Allen Robinson in.
honestly, Robinson had 6 targets for 44 yards, and sadly, that's one of his better games last week.
Yeah.
So, I mean, not having Cooper Kupp is going to help Allen Robinson for sure, regardless. The Rams are just bad.
Yeah.
It's going to be real interesting to see how much worse they can be when they don't have the one guy who is running that offense.
They should bring in Cooper Rush.
Couldn't hurt.
I think they're past the trade deadline and stuff, but they should really bring in just like a guy like Cooper Rush.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, Jeremy's side's done. Let's jump over to Colin. Colin has a whole bunch of stuff on his bench. So he's got 2 kickers. He's got 2 defenses. He's got a lineup.
Yeah.
So,
right. So if we look at Colin's team and then look at Jeremy's team, there's a clear difference here, right? Like Colin's got guys like Josh Jacobs and Jonathan Taylor and Olave, and like Jeremy's like best running back is Montgomery or Mostert.
Which actually could be better this week with Herbert out.
True, but I just mean like the
Right,
fact that these teams both got to 2 and 8, like Colin's gotten here because, I mean, Jonathan Taylor's been bad, and that's fine, but bad for him is still, 6, 7, 8 points. Like, he's not goose egging you. It's a lot of this comes down to his fucking roster management. Like, you would have options and upside guys, and you could have hit on something if you weren't carrying Geno Smith and Cairo Santos and the Broncos defense while you're starting Russell Wilson and Justin Tucker and the Saints defense. Like, there's no room to cover for your shit and find better opportunities
Well,
when your roster's clogged with other guys that it's just bad roster management.
Let's be honest. So Geno Smith is on a bye, so you could cut Russell Wilson after this week and just run Geno Smith the rest of the year.
Truth.
So all right. Well, who's going to win this matchup?
Boy, is this an ugly matchup. I'm going to give it to Colin because Colin's not getting hit with bye weeks. If Jeremy had Kirk and Mostert, I think that he could probably eke this one out. But he doesn't, and that when we're looking at these rosters as they stand, losing 2 of your better players is a death blow. So,
yep, I'm going Colin as well. So, all right. You want to take us into Fryer versus Walker?
Yep.
Mr.
Just check.
Eight game win streak.
Yeah, good for you, Walker. After starting 0-2, 8-2, top of the league. That is pretty good. All right,
I started 0-3 and I'm nowhere near 8-2.
truth. So Friar's team's got a lot of question marks right now. Adams, Judy, Gus Edwards, and Gerald Everett, all with questionable tag here after Wednesday. He's got Kareem Hunt and James Robinson on the bench. The rest of his bench either doesn't have a team yet, Odell Beckham Jr., or is on bye. So not having Evans and Jeff Wilson kind of is a bummer. Even the Rashad White looks like he could be the starter in Tampa now, and he's on a bye. So Friars grasping at straws here. First question is, when Judy doesn't play and you need a wide receiver, and Odell Beckham Jr. still doesn't have a team, who are you dropping? Are you dropping OBJ? Are you dropping James Robinson?
It has to be one of the two of them.
I
But
would think so.
You can't drop Robinson right now.
Yeah.
He had 13 carries, a couple catches. He looked good week 9. He was off last week on a bye.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not playing him against New England, but
yeah. I mean,
he's got
that said, Pryor's hurting a little bit more for receivers. I guess that's just a this week thing because he's got Evans and Adams. But he's got Connor, he's got Evans, he's got Hunt, he's got Jeff Wilson, he's got Rashad White. Like, he doesn't need James Robinson, and it's not like James Robinson's gonna go be a world beater on somebody else's team. He could maybe get you 10, 12 points in a week, but probably gonna get you 5 or 6. And there's plenty of teams that could use that, but Fryer really doesn't need it because he's got a good handful of running backs that can do that already.
Yeah, no, I agree.
So he's going to have to add a receiver because I really don't think Judy plays. I think the rest of these guys' questionable tags are, just limited practices or whatever early in the week. So not a huge issue. Last question would be, are you
Gerald Everett, I am nervous about.
Dude, the Chargers can't afford to lose any more freaking. He was limited in practice today.
Yeah, but a groin injury.
It's not ideal, but the fact that he did get some practice in on the first practice of the week, that's encouraging.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. I'm not saying he's not playing. I'm not saying there's going to be an issue. I'm just saying he just makes me nervous.
Yeah, so that's fair. All right, Damian Harris, Kareem Hunt against the Bills in 8 feet of snow, or the aforementioned potentially dropped James Robinson. Who are you playing in the flex?
Well,
maybe that makes up your mind because I kind of want to play James Robinson here because of the weather, and I really don't want to play Damian Harris. Honestly, you could probably drop Damian Harris. He's got 300 yards and 3 touchdowns this year.
My only, and honestly, if you moved or dropped Damian Harris, whatever, but I'm not 100% sold on Gus Edwards playing this week.
Yeah.
So if Edwards is out, you're playing Harris and you're playing Hunt, or if you drop Harris, you're playing Robinson and Hunt.
Yeah.
Which none of these are really exciting me. So let's just move to the other side.
Yeah, all of this just means that Walker's going to win this week.
Right.
Walker, you can go ahead and drop Dan Jones. You've got Kyler Murray. He's probably playing this week, but I suppose double check. Don't drop Dan Jones just yet. I take it back. Yeah. I don't think I see any moves to really be talked about on Walker's side. Zeke still hasn't come back yet, and when he does, I'm not putting him in over Pollard until we see what that looks like. And none of the rest of these guys are guys I'm looking to get in ahead of Pollard either.
Go
ahead.
If Edwards is out, I could see putting Drake in. But I don't. Do you sit Pollard against Minnesota, or do you Sanders against Indy? I think you would. Both of those are good plays. I think you almost have to keep Pollard in, assuming Zeke's out. If
Yeah.
Zeke comes back as a timeshare, I'm almost playing Drake over Pollard just as a timeshare situation if Gus Edwards is out. But I mean, Walker doesn't need the upside, so I think he's fine regardless.
Yeah, and that trio of receivers is pretty locked in with Jefferson, AJB, and Hopkins. So you're probably leaving it. Injuries might change your mind, but for now, I don't see any moves I want to make. I got Walker in this one, and it shouldn't really be that close.
Yep, I'm with you. So, all right, I'm going to shoot down to you versus Chris. You versus Chris looks on Chris's side. He has that fun George Pickens, Deontay Johnson situation, Curtis Samuel on the bench as well. And his starters are Diggs, Slayton, and then in the flex, Rondale Moore. Rondale Moore gets the Niners this week, which doesn't excite me for him. They're saying Hollywood could come back. If Hollywood comes back and they have the Niners, I'm probably going to sit him. But it's hard. Well, you've also got Darius Slayton, which is had 3 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown. So I don't know how consistent that's going to be, but he has Detroit, so maybe that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm having a hard time. I almost want to put in George Pickens over Rondale Moore if Hollywood comes back, but I guess with Slayton maybe being the one at this point because Rondale's pretty garbage, I'm gonna leave it. But if Hollywood comes back, I'm gonna flip Pickens in. I don't. That's probably not going to be a popular opinion, but I still trust in Pickens to have that touchdown upside.
Yeah. Yeah. So
outside of Diggs, I don't like his receivers as a whole.
And Diggs is playing in a blizzard, so is Chubb. So they kind of cancel each other out this week, which, you know, is what it is. I'm trying to. I mean, Curtis Samuel's had a really nice floor.
They get Houston, but they should run all over Houston.
True. But with his rushing, like, I mean, Curtis Samuel's got a 4-point floor. I don't know that you certainly can't say that about Slayton because he could go out and get you 12 yards. Pickens, I think, is getting a little bit more consistent in terms of like the looks, but the Pittsburgh offense as a whole is just so bad that like he's got to get a touchdown, and I'm not putting my money on them scoring very many touchdowns. So
you're right.
So I like Samuel just because he's going to get you 4 points, and 4 points isn't very many. He could get you 7. He's probably not getting a ton of touchdowns, but like looking at these guys, Slayton could goose egg you, or he could go for 20, but he already went for 20 this year, so he's not going to do it again. That was his one game. That's how that works with Slayton. So if it's me, I'm putting in Samuel.
The only good thing is Rondale Moore's been getting such high target volume that even if you bring him down to like 7 or 8 instead of 10 or 13, he might still be solid. But the Niners defense is tough, so good luck.
Yeah.
So all right, we're gonna jump over to your side then.
All right, hit me with it. Hey, we didn't talk about trades. We can do that at the very end, but I just realized we didn't talk about trades.
Yeah, I had those pulled up as I was getting to what are you drinking, and then I got excited.
You got excited about the beer. Yeah,
that's right.
That happens.
All right, so on your bench, DJ Moore and Juju Smith-Schuster. You also have Michael Carter. So Alan Lazard and Terry McLaurin are in your wide receiver slots right now. You have Juju, which I don't know if he's playing.
Yeah, he's in concussion protocol. He didn't practice today. I don't know that I'm expecting him to play. I'd love to get him out there because I think that the Chiefs-Chargers game could be a shootout, and Juju's pretty well established as their top receiver so far, I would say.
Right.
But I mean, it's not looking great. So
No,
it is what it is.
DJ Morgan's Baltimore makes me nervous. That whole offense makes
I
me
mean,
nervous.
Baker's back because PJ Walker got hurt, and Baker's no bueno for DJ Moore. So
right. So you're playing Lazard, you're playing McLaurin. So then I guess the question is, you keep Gibson in against Houston, which is the worst run defense in the league,
bingo.
or you put Michael Carter in, which is split with James Robinson. And I think you just have to stick with Gibson.
Yeah, I think Gibson's more of the 1B and Carter's more of the 1A in their respective offenses. But with the matchups being what they are, I would much rather get the 1B against Houston than the 1A against the Patriots.
Yep, I would agree. So with that, your lineup's pretty much set. I'm taking you to win.
I appreciate that. I will say I am very nervous about Justin Herbert. I'm he had 3 touchdowns in his first 2 games of the year. He has not had 3 touchdowns in any game since. He's thrown 6 interceptions, which is more than what I was expecting him to, and he hasn't cracked 20 fantasy points since week 4. So not ideal.
Yeah,
I
but if
can't
you look,
drop him.
if you look at Chris's side though, Kirk Cousins on 50 attempts last week, going into overtime, threw all of 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and put up 15 points. I mean,
Yeah.
he's only had 2 games in the 20s. Other than that, he's been in the middle teens.
That's fair.
So I don't feel like Cousins is a huge advantage over Herbert, even if Herbert's bad.
Yeah, that's fair.
Kirk Cousins manages games and does what he has to win an NFL game, but he doesn't do what he has to do to win a fantasy football game.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. I think I'm picking me, but I am a bit worried about my team here. I got bailed out last week playing the duos team not doing very well, and I got bailed out the week before by Mixon scoring 800 points. So I'm waiting for the other shoe to drop. Maybe it's not this week, but I feel like I'm due to lose one.
You better just hope it doesn't happen when you're in divisional play.
Yeah, here's hoping.
Yeah.
Can't do anything about it. It's gonna happen at some point.
I would also like you to win this game just to give me an extra little bit of cushion above Chris. So
I'd like me to win this game too. I did get Boyer's picks, so I'm gonna backfill. Boyer picked me. Boyer picked Colin. Boyer picked Ty. Boyer picked Walker. So far we are 4 for 4 down the line. We might be testing our superpowers here this week.
All right, so 5-5 versus 5-5. Charlie versus Robbie. It's a weird 5-5 matchup here. Go ahead, Andy.
Yeah, so Charlie's got Wonder Kid, Justin Fields at quarterback, which's gotta feel good.
I love that they have him projected for 19 points.
I mean, he's scored pretty much 40 points the last 2 weeks. And the 2 weeks before that, he was right around 25 points both weeks. And the 2 weeks before that, he was 18 and 17. So really, 19 feels low, if you ask me. He's running for 19 points worth of yards most weeks at this point, I guess. I guess that's a thing.
This is why we follow projections really close.
Right. Charlie's got Godwin and Fournette on a bye. Also, Calvin Ridley's on a bye, if anybody was worried about that. I'm not putting Higbee in over Dulcich. I want to keep that. So Charlie doesn't really have any roster decisions. On Robbie's side, why the hell does he have Jimmy G still? He's got Joe Burrow.
And I know you talked about it earlier with DeAndre Carter with the Chargers versus Chiefs game, but do you like Josh Palmer this week?
Charlie doesn't have anybody else on his roster to put in unless he drops him.
So I guess my question is, though, Higbee was 8 for 8 for 73 yards last week, and without Kupp, you don't think he's going to get more hyper targeted?
If
he could
both
goose you,
Allen
but
and Williams play, I would consider a switch and probably still not do it. If even one of them sits, Palmer's the number 2, and in that Sunday night game, I'm more than happy to play him over Higbee. I mean, Higbee got 8 targets, 8 catches, and still only had 73 yards. Like, there's just not a ton for him to do, you know?
that's fine. Dolchik over the last 3 games, 6 catches for 51, 4 catches for 87, 1 catch for 11.
Yeah. Yeah, if you wanted to switch him, I wouldn't fault you for it. I like Dolchich and his talent. Both offenses are bad, and Higbee's just a guy, but maybe Cup being gone pushes you over the edge. I think that one's closer than it has been in the last couple of weeks. But if it's my team, I'd still leave Dolchich in.
Okay. No, that's fine. I just with everything in LA, I maybe because
Yeah.
Allen Robinson and Ben Skoranek become the 1 and 2, which is gross.
Yeah. Or they just don't score at all.
Also valid.
I think that's a possibility.
So, all right, we'll go over to Robbie.
All right, on Robbie's side, he's got Kenneth Walker on a bye. And then looking at lineup decisions, I'm putting Mooney in over Cooper because I don't want any part of the weather there if I don't have to. Like, if I'm Chris, I'm playing Diggs because Diggs is Diggs. He's the number 1 fantasy receiver right now. Like, you can't bench Diggs the same way that I can't bench Chubb even if there's 8 feet of snow.
So what about Gabe Davison on Charlie's side?
Who are you putting in? He doesn't have anybody.
You play 2 tight ends.
His whole team is either on a bye or his whole bench. His whole bench is either on a bye, suspended, or both in Calvin Ridley's case.
Or
Higbee.
You play a 2 tight end set.
Yeah. Move Palmer up, bench Davis, and put Higbee in at the flex. You could. I don't know.
I think I'm still playing Davis for the upside, but like, what the hell? All right. Anyway, go back. Keep going.
All right. So I'm putting Mooney in for Amari Cooper.
Cooper's volumes come down too with DPJ coming up. So
yeah.
I think that's a solid choice.
You've got Jacoby Myers in the flex right now. I think I'm probably gonna leave him. But what do you think about AJ Dillon, who hasn't scored a touchdown since week 1, or Kyron Williams? Probably not.
Tennessee's pretty good against the run. The other one I was going to say would even be Jalen Warren, but you can't play Najee and Jalen, so forget that, boys. So yeah, I think you have to leave Jacoby Myers in. I don't like it.
Yeah, I agree.
Tennessee's defense is good against the run. I don't know. I don't like it, but keep Myers in. Find a kicker.
Yep, you need a kicker. So once Robbie adds a 7-point kicker, this projection doesn't look too close, but I feel like this matchup's relatively close because Justin Fields is not going to get 19 points. He's going to get 800. So Ty, who you got in this one?
I'm taking Robbie. He's got Burrow, Lamb, Barkley. And I just don't see that upside on Charlie's team.
I mean, that upside is Fields.
Right.
So
yeah, but if Burrow can score even 25,
yeah,
he counterbalances most of Fields. So
all right. Well,
Isaiah Pacheco and Ramondre Stevenson being your 2 running backs this week.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think Charlie has a good shot at this. I'm going to go Robbie because of Saquon. Saquon against the Lions could be a 30-point game. Like, although the Lions have done much better against running backs since, I guess the week after their bye. Zeke and Pollard both put up a bunch of points against them coming out of the bye, but since then they've locked it down a bit. So Maybe
right,
they're
what Boyer,
better, maybe
what
not.
Boyer take?
Boyer took Robbie, so we still got it intact.
I think it'll probably stay that way, but we'll talk about it.
I think so too. Let's see what happens.
All right, so Paul versus Boyer. Paul has Marcus Mariota in because he's got Tom Brady on a bye. He's currently got Deebo Samuel and Drake London in at wide receiver with St. Robinson in the flex. He does have Kadarius Toney on the bench. Hardman is looking to be questionable. Juju's looking to be questionable. I am finding a way to get Kadarius Toney in. Probably. All right, so let's look at this flex. Are you playing Elijah Mitchell over Brian Robinson? Probably not, because Brian Robinson's in Houston, right?
I think I'm playing him over Algier.
Okay, that was going to be my other question: is do you move Robinson up and flip out Algier?
Yeah.
And I think that's probably the answer: is you get rid of Algier and you throw Mitchell in, you throw Toney in. Do you sit Drake London?
I think I sit London for Toney if Juju's out, which he probably will be, and then sit Algier for Mitchell. Also, as a Niners fan, how shocked were you to see pretty much a 50-50 split in touches between Mitchell and freaking McCaffrey?
Yeah.
Did not see that coming.
Mitchell looked good. So
he did.
I don't know what to do with Mitchell though. McCaffrey, you brought him in. You better freaking use him.
Yeah, but you also can't run him into the ground because
you got 3 more years on him.
Right. You don't want the wheels to fall off come playoffs or anything like that either.
Right. Yeah, no, I was shocked that Mitchell got that much work, especially coming straight off IR.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think you have to get Mitchell in this week. I think you have to get Toney in. So London and Algier are out, which makes Mariota look real bad if you're taking both of the other Atlanta pieces out.
Right.
So I don't know what else is out there, but I might be making that change too. Although he plays Chicago and Chicago gives up points.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't know. I don't like those decisions, but I'm playing Mitchell and Toney over Algier and London.
Agreed.
On Boyer's side, he has Etienne on a bye, Hill on a bye, Cup injured, Williams most likely out this week, and Breece Hall on IR. So his bench currently looks like Brandon Cooks. So with that, he's got Tyler Boyd in, he's got Paris Campbell in, and he's running the two tight end set with Dalton Schultz and George Kittle. You're not starting Brandon Cooks over any of this, even Paris Campbell, which is a weird thing to say at this point, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, Nico Collins came back and I think pretty much took that wide receiver 1 spot last week. And Brandon Cooks has not been good. He's had 4 catches in the last 4 games, and he topped out at 73 yards.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do it. So you're leaving it as is, and you're praying Boyd and Campbell can carry this team. So, Andy,
right.
What do you got?
So, I agree with what you said. It doesn't feel good for Boyer, whose team has been pretty stacked all year, to find yourself in this place with bye week issues, and Boyer's gotten bit by the injury bug. I think the fantasy gods forgot which Tyler they were looking at when they started hitting his team this year, because Boyer's been getting hit from all sides. Mike Williams, Breece Hall, and then Cup last week is just a bummer. All right, so I'm looking at the forecast in Buffalo, and I want to know what, if anything, it would take for you as a Josh Allen owner
To bench him?
to find somebody on your bench to drop to add a quarterback and sit him this week.
I mean, honestly, at this point, I'm okay dropping Brandon Cooks.
Yeah, I think
picking somebody else. That guy's a droppable piece.
You're looking at like Goff, Aaron Rodgers on Thursday night, which sucks because you wouldn't know exactly how bad the weather is to get him in there. But Tennessee's pretty bad against the pass, so that's a viable option. So let's just call it Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers, who has not been doing very well, or Josh Allen. And I will tell you this, the forecast on AccuWeather says that there's going to be 3 to 4 feet of snow between Thursday and Sunday in Buffalo, New York.
The good thing is if it's Thursday to Saturday, they will clear that field and the field will at least be in decent shape. If it all comes down Saturday to Sunday, that's where you have the issue. So I think I'm still playing Allen. I think that they will clear that field enough that Allen will be fine. But fuck, man, I don't know. I think you have to play Allen, but I don't like it.
Yeah, not to mention, I mean, it ended up being very much a non-issue, but Allen was banged up going into last week's game. And again, not that this will be an issue if they're not throwing the ball, but he's thrown 10 picks this year. Like, he's still the number one, tied for number one or a fraction of a point behind number one fantasy quarterback. So I'm not saying he's bad and you want to bench him because he's bad, but like there are like some other factors at play here where you got to at least think about it, right?
Oh yeah, for sure. I don't disagree, but I just and Aaron Rodgers against Tennessee, it's not a bad pass game because Tennessee's a good run defense, but I don't know. All three touchdowns went to all the touchdowns went to Christian Watson last week. Like I picked him up. We used a lot of fab on him, but do I expect him to have a big game? I don't know. Romeo Dobbs is probably still out. You got Tanyan, you've got Lazard.
Right.
I still don't know how much I trust that pass offense.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Yeah.
it finally looked decent last week, so I think there is an upside coming. Do I think it's this week? I don't know. So I think I'm still going to just lean on Allen and pray for the best at this point. Luckily, Boyer's got a lot of points and a shot at playoffs, even if he loses this one. So I'm not saying he's going to lose it, but it could happen.
Yeah, he picked a great week to play Paul. Let's just put it that way. So, all right. Well, I guess who you got in this one, Ty?
Yeah. I'm gonna veer. I'm gonna take Paul.
Wow.
Most of it is we just said Tennessee has a good run defense. Aaron Jones is in. Dameon Pierce. Washington has a good run defense. That's what you're banking on this week. Those two and Josh Allen. And if those two have tough matchups and Josh Allen has snow, I don't like Swift. I don't like Swift. I don't really like Brian Robinson as a whole. But I think they've got better matchups. I think they've got an easier path to putting points up.
Yeah, a lot of this comes down to how much Swift plays because he's been playing, but he has not been getting the
limited work
the touches. Right. So is he back this week? Is he still getting 5 carries or whatever it's going to be? So that a lot of that's going to come down to it. I'm going to pick Boyer, but I'm not jazzed about either of these teams this week. But Boyer's still got the running back talent, I think, over what Paul has, even though some of the matchups aren't as good. I'm still leaning that way. But there's also a world where Mariota could get 25 points against the Bears, and Josh Allen's going to struggle to get 25 points this week.
If there's a world that Mariota's getting 25 points, you should probably leave Drake London in because I have a feeling that's where it's going.
I mean, Mariota can do that with his legs. Not all of it, but
dump
also,
it off to old man
Kyle
Patterson.
Pitts.
Right.
Kyle Pitts is a world beater at tight end. Maybe.
Yeah,
he could be. Maybe. He was drafted like it. He's on my dynasty team, guys. Please throw it to him.
Yeah. So, well, I'm assuming Boyer took himself.
He did.
So I'm taking the
you
one.
You are the odd man out. Yep.
So we'll see how that one plays out. But this matchup for Boyer being a good team all year doesn't make me excited. So
No, I feel badly for Boyer. Last week he got to play Tyreek Hill and Cooper Kupp. This week he doesn't. So that sucks.
this week he plays Tyler Boyd and Paris Campbell.
Yeah.
So all right. Well, it's not good, but it is what it is. So we did
Right.
have 2 trades this week.
Yep.
Let's hit those real quick.
Maybe, yeah, 2.
Well, I traded for DPJ last week. I gave up $1. We won't have to cover that very much. DPJ has looked good. We kind of talked about it. I was okay with giving up $1 for DPJ. Quick
Yeah,
thought.
I am fine with the price. It'll be interesting to see if you play him. Like I like what DPJ's been doing, but I don't feel like you needed him. I know you've been looking to add a receiver and you were in on Cooper Kupp. DPJ is not filling that I need a receiver role. This is just a depth piece and your team was already pretty deep. So
Well,
if you
my
gave up
problem
$1 to never
is
play him, then why?
well, and my problem is I didn't know if I'd get Christian Watson, or I didn't know that if I'd get a waiver wide receiver at all. I didn't know if I'd have another wide receiver coming in. If Allen never plays,
Yeah.
all I had after that was Jahan Dotson and Christian Watson now.
Yeah,
But
that's true.
I didn't my wide receiver depth was Ayuk, Higgins, and Allen. So if Allen never plays and Higgins or Ayuk get hurt,
Yeah,
DPJ would have been my easy wide receiver 2 at that point.
that's fair.
So for $1, that helped my depth a whole lot, because who the fuck knows what's going to happen with Keenan Allen at this point.
True.
Like I would love to say I will never play DPJ and Allen's going to come back and he'll be an easy fill-in, but I don't know.
But for $1, he's nice to have. Helps you
Right.
sleep at night, and that's
You're right.
worth something. That's like having a handcuff.
Well, and my goal was to get Evans or Devontae Adam off of Fryer,
But
but
then
it
he's
doesn't
been
look like
winning.
Fryer's selling. So
Yep.
and we're at trade deadline Saturday, and Fryer's not going to know if he's losing this week until Sunday. So he's not going to sell, which means there's not really a wide receiver sitting there. So you got to take what you can get at this point, which is why I paid up for Christian Watson at this point for with my fab, because that's a position that I need.
Yep. I don't blame you.
All right. Well, then the other one was Andy traded Kadarius Toney to Paul for Fryermuth. And then if Toney is kept, Paul pays Andy $3. What is I'm assuming Tony's $1 keeper, $2 keeper, maybe.
I think he's 3, but yeah, he's
Okay.
a very cheap keeper next year.
Sure. And Andy had Goddard go out this past week. He is hitting
Killed
IR.
me.
He's hitting IR, so he's out for 4 weeks.
Yeah, I had just gotten comfortable with the idea of letting my team ride and seeing what happened, and then Goddard went down. I was like, shit.
Yeah. And I talked to Andy a little bit about Terry McLaurin too, but I mean it's kind of the same situation. Andy, like, would I pay you $4 or $5 to get Terry McLaurin to maybe never play him?
I would assume
mean,
you would play Terry over Ayuk sometimes, like matchup
right.
base. Like you're not putting DPJ in, but you're not paying $1 for Terry. So
Right.
Terry's top 8 in receiving yards. Ty, did you know that?
We talked about that. It's a super interesting fact. But so you moving Toney, which could be a good piece moving forward.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it for Paul's side. Because it could be a keeper, could help him stay competitive in games, especially if Hardman is going to be out, if Juju's going to be out at all, if other things, they scheme Toney the ball last week anyway. The first week there, they were scheming him the ball. They were getting him the ball, letting him run. I think Toney's going to be a thing. So I love it for Paul's side. The $3 if being kept, I mean, I get it, but Paul and his contingencies, he'll always come down with some sort of issue.
Yeah. Paul offered me Fryermuth straight up, and I was like, I really hate to lose Toney. Like I needed to shed a guy. Like I've had guys I've wanted to pick up the last 3-4 weeks, and I just don't feel like I could drop anybody on my team because I like the guys that I have. So it's been tough trying to get that figured out. And I was like, well, I got to sell a guy. Like I got to do something so that I can add Komet or, uh, whoever on waivers this week. And Paul offered me Fryermuth, and I was like, that's not bad, but
Right.
also I don't want to just trade Tony. Like Tony could be a stud. Like
Yeah.
he could be a surefire keeper, maybe a top receiver in a top offense moving forward. The Giants look like idiots already.
Right. Well, and the big thing is he was in a shit offense in New York, and now
Right.
he's with Kansas City. It's a world of difference.
Yeah, and he wasn't healthy with the Giants, and then he got traded, and now he is healthy. So who knows what that's about either. But like I really hated to lose him, but he made the most sense for me to lose out of anybody who's gonna contribute to my team this year. But I was like, well, I got to get something out of him, so I offered Paul the choice of contingencies. I said either pay me $1 every time Tony hits double digits, or pay me $4 if you keep him, and give me Fryermuth. And he was like, how about $3 if I keep him? Or I'm sorry, got to get the words right. If he's kept,
That's
not
right.
if Paul keeps him. If he is kept, then $3 to me. So, if Tony only did well because Juju was out and stops doing that shortly, then I don't lose much. If he's a stud, I get $3, which is a bummer. I'll miss him. I was stashing him because I liked a lot what he could be in Kansas City's offense, but had to do something, and that's what it came down to.
Yep. So and it made sense for both of you. So it was a good trade. So nothing overly exciting this week. Trade deadline Saturday. So let's see if we can get a couple of those in before Saturday.
Yep.
I guess technically before Sunday, because Saturday we can still trade. Otherwise, hopefully you guys all suck. Duo, I hope you guys really suck because I could use this win. Outside of that, enjoy your weekend of football, and we'll see you guys next week.